Well, as you saw, I was born in 1938, which makes me really old. And I got out of college and went to work, and I've been drawing cartoons for 64 years for a living, and I still do it. I don't quite understand my fascination with the art, but and this will be hard for a lot of you to imagine, but when I was your age, there was no television and no internet, if you can imagine something like that. We had radio, we had newspapers, and I loved the cartoons in the newspapers. And I studied them, I tried to figure out how to draw them. I grew up in Oklahoma, and there was nobody there that taught cartooning, so I had to figure out how to do it myself. And I did it through newspapers and comic books. Some of these comic books are over 50 years old.
Nice.
I've had them. And I accumulated 2,000 comic books, and I still have them. So they were really my textbooks where I learned how to do this from the newspapers and from the comics. And I went to college in Tulsa, and when I graduated, my first job, my only offer, was to do greeting cards with Hallmark cards in Kansas City. So I went there to do, hopefully, funny greeting cards. And here's some of those. Some of the cards I did back there 60-some years ago. And the biggie.
Oh, that's amazing.
So I did that for 10 years, but I always wanted to draw a newspaper comic strip. That was the thing I liked most. And I sent my first one, there's things called syndicates that distribute things to newspapers. So I submitted my first one when I was 16 years old, and it was instantly rejected because it was just awful. And over the next 14 years, I kept trying. I don't know how many, 5, 6, 7 attempts I made to sell a comic strip. This is true, I lived in Kansas City. It took 2 hours to get to New York by plane. I could leave on an 8 o'clock plane, I could get to New York at noon and be rejected by all 6 major syndicates and get home at midnight. So another one of my skills was speed rejection. And finally, after, well, 15 years of trying, I sold my comic strip, Broom Hilda. Oh, here's my little friend. She's my little friend because she's been feeding me for 54 years. And apparently she doesn't want to come out there. There she is. So I've kind of lived off of her for a long, long time, and I still do it. This is the size that I draw. And it's reprinted in a newspaper. It's photographically reduced. Down to that size.
Okay.
So it starts out that big and winds up that big in meters. And I'm trying to remember to stand up straight because I spend most of my time bent over like that drawing. Because that's what it takes. Well, that's pretty much my history. I don't have a long spiel here to give you, but I'm showing you what I did and that I'm still doing it. And that's really about it. I would love it if anyone had any questions. Yes.
How many years did you say you kept trying and trying and trying?
15. I started when I was
years.
16, which was awful, and sold it when I was 31.
Awesome.
So,
That's
yeah.
a lot of dedication.
I'm not the best, but I'm the most perseverant.
Yeah.
Question, please.
I saw you had a comic book of DuckTales. Did you like that?
Comic book of,
DuckTales.
it was the fourth I brought.
The Uncle Scrooge.
Uncle Scrooge, yes. I knew the man that drew Uncle Scrooge. His name was Carl Barks. And when he was older, he moved to Grants Pass, where I lived, but he drew these wonderful, wonderful comics. He was one of my heroes. He lived to be 99, so maybe there's something good about being a cartoonist. Yeah, anybody else? Yes,
Do you want to
go
go first?
first.
How much time was it to finish? your art that you were doing?
Like how long does it take you to do one comic?
One comic? Well, to draw it, something like that takes an hour to an hour and a half. Now, I will already have written the idea ahead of time. The idea is the most important thing. If you don't have the idea, you don't have anything. And then you hopefully enhance it through your artwork. So and then I do a Sunday, which is 3 times this big, but we don't see it here, and that takes 3 or 4 hours. So I do one for every day of the week. And I figured up from the time it started in April 1970 to April of 2024, that's 19,710 comic strips.
Wow.
I had to have a computer to do that. Yes.
How much did you have new material coming through or recycle material you've already done?
No, I've never recycled. I've always done new stuff. I've never had, be there in a minute. I've never had writer's block. What I've had is quality block. I can always grind out a bunch of stuff, but if I do 10, sometimes 7 are good and sometimes 2 are good. So I kind of operate through volume. I figure if I get enough on paper, there'll be enough, and so far it's worked. But no, I don't ever recycle or do anything yet. I may.
That's cool.
That's cool.
Anyone? Oh, there was someone back here.
Did you take art lessons or did you teach yourself?
I took art lessons as much as I could in school, but general art, just general art lessons, and even in college I took commercial art courses. But this is a very specialized thing, so I had to figure that part out on myself, even though I had the basics in art. Yes, ma'am.
Do you draw every day or do you go in spurts?
No, I will work 5 days a week and sometimes take a week off or a day off or something in there just to live a life.
Right.
And I'll do 2, 3 a day, stack them up. I even have a backlog, so if I drop dead today, there'll be some printed for several months from now. Yeah, anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
What would you tell young people who want to draw or do something like this? What would you tell them to do now at this age?
Draw.
Practice.
And practice. They're just like piano. Practice makes perfect. Draw. Look at what you like. Figure out what you like and figure out what to do. Yes, ma'am.
I love you and I love you so much and we will be good.
Okay.
Cause I get to play Roblox. No.
Okay, well, thank you for the comment anyway. I appreciate that. Yes, did I see someone over here or did I imagine it? Yeah, oh, hi.
Hi, you were able to work in Kansas City and then did you move and continue working or what was that process like?
Well, I was working in Hallmark for 10 years in Kansas City, and then I sold the strip and we stayed there a few more years, then we moved to Santa Barbara, California, and then 43 years ago we moved to Grants Pass.
So you were able to like mail in your work?
Oh,
or
as
how's it-
long as there's a mailbox, I'm
Yeah.
in business.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
anywhere.
Cool.
And a lot of people send it in online, but I'm not smart enough to do that, so I just send them drawings.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
How do they color the comic strips? Because some of them are black and white, and then some of them are in color in the paper.
Well, the Sundays, I make a copy and I indicate the color that I want on the Sundays. These daily strips, I don't know what they do. Some show up in papers that are colored, and they take it. The newspapers take it upon themselves to color them. Like those ones that you showed. Where did you get those?
Online.
Okay, there is a comics. I can't think of the name of it. A place online that just reprints all the different comic strips.
Huh.
And I think they color them there.
Yeah.
Because I don't do any color work on the daily because they're printed, except for a few newspapers, in black and white.
Huh.
So that's done without my knowledge. Yeah, anyone else?
Thank you, Mr.
Oh,
Meyer. Thank you.
Yeah.
I get my cookie now?